And yeah, welcome everybody to our today's webinar on about business process management, and have a look at it as an emerging management discipline and the impact it provides to get real business value out of digital transformations. And I have structured our session into three major parts. First, some general comments why digital transformation needs process management, and how in general process management adds value in that field. We will then look at some more specific examples of the impact of BPM in digital transformations, and in the last part show how process management also helps to sustain the effects we have achieved in our transformation. The digital transformation is about combining products or services, people, and doing that using digital technologies. That's in a nutshell the definition of digital transformation. But what is important, that the value of those digital transformation is delivered through new and enhanced processes. Just putting some technologies in our companies doesn't really move us forward. Only when we use them to do something better, to do something new, then we get a real value out of it. And that's why it's also not a surprise that industry research from industry analysts has shown that basically all companies who realize the full business potential of digital technologies, they also have a well-defined process management discipline in place. And such a process management discipline was in the past always referred to as a set of methods and tools and all that. But in the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, it has more and more been defined as really the management discipline that moves strategy into people and technology-based execution, and does that fast and reliably. And that's a definition of a process management. It's not just a project related topic, but really a discipline that we need in our organization to keep the digitalization and transformation journey going. That is very, very key. And process management does that basically by aligning the organization through the management of our process life cycles, through the design of processes that reflect our strategy, the appropriate implementation and execution of those processes, and then the control to see whether we can live with those processes or we need to do future adjustments. At the end of the day, the key benefit of process management for transformation and for the realization of our enterprise strategy is the transparency it delivers. Business process management provides the visibility in your organization that helps you to take fast but well-informed decisions and set appropriate actions. It helps to mitigate the trade-offs of conflicting goals like quality and efficiency. For example, in a call center process, there are a whole number of steps that a client does not really care about, and there you would optimize it based on efficiency aspects. But then there are certain steps where clients really care about, where they are also ready to pay money for, and there you would optimize based on quality aspects. And the transparency that business process management delivers helps you to address both aspects. Or same with agility and compliance. We want to adjust, but we also have process areas where we have to follow compliance guidelines, where we have to follow our company standards. And again, process management allows you to combine both aspects by identifying where can we give freedom to people to be really agile and react based on current developments, and where we have to follow in a more or less rigid way our compliance standards. That transparency also helps in the collaboration with market partners, so with external networks. It helps aligning people internally towards the goals of the organization, and very importantly, especially in the topic in the field of digital transformation, it helps you to identify where is it really worth to come up with a complete new process, where to be really innovative, but also to see where do we have good practices in place that helped to move our company forward and that we want to conserve. So that balance between innovating where it is important and conserving good existing practices very, very important. Well, then comes, of course, the next question. How do we achieve that? How do we establish such a business process management discipline? And in order to answer that question, we can just take a step back and think about, well, how do we implement any other management discipline, like, for example, human resources? You establish it through the appropriate HR processes, hiring process, promotion process, and so on. And for business process management, as a management discipline, that's exactly the same topic. It's established through what I like to call the process of process management. And we have done quite some intensive research also together with a few academic institutions, and there's about 25 capabilities that you would develop in order to get such a process of process management up and running. But if you look at it from a high level, such a process of process management is about three topics. It's about focus, it's about improve, and it's about sustaining those improvements. The focus part, it's important to know that an organization only competes through about 15 to 20% of their processes. 15 to 20%. And in those high impact process areas, it is worth to launch sophisticated optimization, improvement, innovation initiatives that normally pays off. In the 80+% of commodity processes, it's completely okay to standardize based on industry best practices. That can still mean that you have to improve what you do, because you may not be on an industry average performance level. That also may still need you go through some digitalization efforts. However, you benefit from what is already existing in the market, and don't have the ambition to get better than your competition. You focus your work and your creativity on the 15 to 20% high impact processes, and business process management helps you to identify those. Then, of course, we need to improve our processes through our digitalization, and their process management helps in two ways. On one hand, by providing the end-to-end view on our processes, so that you don't fix something in one area and create issues in other fields. And that we really identify what where the improvement opportunities are and how do we best touch that process. Is it really an automation requirement, or can we make a progress through just some organizational changes? How do we best mix technology and organizational adjustments? All those questions need to be answered through an appropriate process management discipline. And once we have our improved processes in place, of course, things keep on moving. We need to make sure that we keep those processes on track and that we keep on benefiting from the benefits we have achieved, and take the decision for another improvement or transformation initiative when this is required. So the process of process management is all about focus, about improved in a context, and about sustaining those improvements. Now let's have a look what that process management discipline can help with, and how that looks like in a digital transformation. And as mentioned, in a first step, it's about setting the right focus of our digital initiatives or of our transformation initiatives in general. And that can be done through a process impact assessment. And the process impact assessment does two things. It, on one hand, identifies what are the high impact processes in our organization and which of those have a low maturity level, so that it's really important to touch them. And once that is defined, you can really then define the scope of your transformation in a way that it delivers most of the value and really focuses on the areas that your organization needs to transform to move to the next level. Basis of that process impact assessment is the transfer of your strategic direction into more operational value drivers. Those operational value drivers are then linked to the different business processes, and for every process it's defined which impact does it have on which value drivers, so that you then can identify the overall impact of your business process, and with that identify your high impact processes as core for your further transformation. In many of those business process transformations and digitalization initiatives, the first phase is less about optimization of all our processes, but about standardizing processes to the right level across different business units. And that makes a big sense, because if every unit works differently, it's basically impossible to come up with a consistent digitalization strategy, and you will never be really agile, because it will always take too long to adjust the whole organization. I can say that in the last, I would say, 6 to 10 years, I receive even more requests for process standardization initiatives than for pure improvement projects. And those standardization initiatives can very well be supported through business process management, and a good tool to do that is the use of so-called process reference models. Reference models in a digitalization context show how you would organize and execute the process in a special business domain, for example, our procure-to-pay process, and how that process can be enabled through a specific automation platform, for example, a special system. And the reference model shows how that is done in a general way. So it basically visualizes the impact of a digital technology on on a business process. And in the first step, you would then adjust it to your specific organization, showing, well, which parts of that process do not really matter for us. You cross them out. There are additional steps that we need to take in our organization so that you come up with a company-specific reference model. And in that company-specific reference model, you then mark where are the parts of that reference process that can be adjusted in different business units, for example, due to different channels that are supported, to different products, to different legal requirements in different states or different countries. And where are process areas that we really require to be the same across business units, so that you can use such a reference model to manage an appropriate standardization, or better, even to talk about a process harmonization that puts the standard wherever that is possible, but is also aware of the fact that we need to adjust in certain areas to a specific process variants. So using such reference models to manage process standardization, very, very powerful impact of business process management. We were talking before about the need for innovation and the opportunity for innovation through such a digital transformation. And this is also an area where business process management plays an important role. It can, for example, operationalize techniques like design thinking. Design thinking is about empathy, it's about transfer of practices from one field into another one, it's about agility to achieve quick benefits, and it's about storytelling to create the right mindset. And business process management helps in all of those areas. The use of stakeholder journey maps like customer journey maps or supplier journey maps or employee journey maps help to have an outside-in look at your processes and identify what is the current experience of our stakeholders, what is the desired experience of our stakeholders, and how to make that happen. The use of the reference models I just mentioned help to transfer good and successful practices from one business field into another. For example, in a biotech company that has to configure the final products to order to have patient-specific medication, can leverage some of the process know-how from the machinery industry, where machines are configured to order, and with that achieve a significant innovation. The definition of process scenarios, how to move from one step to the other, supports an agile approach so that we achieve quick benefits, but also set the right expectations. And by embedding our process work into an overall operating model and show what kind of which processes we currently address and how they interact with others, help to tell the right story, why we do it, how we will change the organization, and with that creates the right mindset in our company. So business process management, very important enabler of the use of design thinking, and especially that topic around stakeholder journey maps is something more and more used. And here I have to say that it's key to really have an approach, what I call integrated journey planning. That means I look, of course, at my stakeholder experience, like, for example, my customer journey map and the different touch points that my customer has with the organization. But then I link that to the underlying processes, so that I know how do I have to adjust those processes to really improve that customer experience. So that integration between stakeholder journey mapping and the underlying processes helps to come up with the right actions to improve that customer or other stakeholder experience. For example, in a large consumer retail organization, popped up issues with in the pricing areas, lots of discussions, and it turned out that depending on the channel that a customer used, there were different pricing engines involved that could lead to different prices. So the analysis of the processes allowed to exactly identify where the issue for a bad experience come from, and how to fix it in a pretty straightforward way. When we design our processes, our to-be processes, how we are going to work in the future, and have an idea about how we work today, then of course we wanna really know, is it worth to go that way? Is it really paying off? Do I meet my business case through that journey? And that's why process management also helps to quantify that benefits that a move to a new situation, to a to-be process would bring. And a way to do that is the use of simple and pragmatic simulation techniques. And I stress the point simple and pragmatic, because if you try to make the simulation a science, that can be a never-ending story. But if you do that in a pragmatic way, that you collect your cost and time and attributes, for example, as a byproduct in as-is interviews, then you come up with process models that really tell you a story about where what the financial impacts of your transformation journey will be. Like here in that example from a big major insurance company, where in a small product area, we did a first pilot and could show that for the underwriter processes to move from the as-is to the to-be would be a huge saving of costs of almost 50%, combined with the scalability effect of factor 9. And when we did that simulation company in that organization, people were first a bit skeptical. So they decided just to implement it in one product area to see how the outcomes were. And as a matter of fact, the reality was then very, very close to what was predicted to the simulation, so that the approach got rolled out across the whole organization. So that simulation of processes to get quantitative information, very important to justify especially larger transformation initiatives. And those process models that we have created to define where we want to go in the future and to understand how we work today, they are the key to align business and technology during the transformation. Because those models, those to-be models, basically, on one hand, reflect the capabilities of our technology, but on the other hand, they then show how we want to use that technology in our organization, so how to configure the system. And on the other hand, the comparison between the as-is and the to-be gives us a great input for our people change management, so for our information, communication, and training. And here, modern process management and repository tools let you then compare those process models so that you can see, well, where are steps eliminated, where do we have to do some additional, some new steps that we haven't been doing today, and where are modifications of activities, so that it's a very good basis to plan for the change management, to have an idea how how the size of the change will look like and how it impacts the people. And that people aspect I cannot stress enough in digital transformation that is often a bit underestimated. But even if you now try to automate many of your activities, for example, through RPA, robotic process automation, you need to see that this means for people that they now have to focus on handling the exceptions. So the work gets much more difficult because all the simple transactional work is gone now. So to prepare people for that and train them accordingly and inform them upfront and get their input is very, very key. And process management helps to facilitate this communication and helps to avoid misunderstandings or to forget important aspects. Once we are then live with our new processes, we want to, of course, see if we really achieve the value, and there process management can help again, for example, through process mining techniques. That means that you get information about your new digital processes, and you get that information really in the performance information about your processes in the context of your processes, so that you know, for example, not just how long does your procure-to-pay process take, but how long does it take from the point that I enter a purchase requisition till it's approved, till the order is at the client, and so on. So you get detailed information about whether you achieve your goal. But very importantly, you get also detailed conformance information. How well do we follow our process, so that we see two things. Do we really meet our performance goals, so that we realize our business case? And second, do we follow our to-be process? And well, if we don't follow our to-be process and we don't meet our performance goals, we already have a clear idea what to do. We have to really figure out why certain steps are not executed. And just had there a very interesting case where we could show in a maintenance area that over 3 months the number of variants, so where we didn't follow our to-be process, basically went back from month to month very significantly, 30–40%. That showed, okay, we are on a good way to really standardize our processes and move towards our to-be. We could also show that the 11% of processes that still have variance, we could show that these are the maintenance process where some specific equipment numbers were not assigned to our maintenance orders, which led to additional time. And exactly in those cases, the cycle time of our maintenance work was much longer than in other cases. So we had a very clear action to look at, and could even see that it was in certain locations. So we could address that through appropriate training and move things into the right direction. So the use of process mining to drive the value realization after our processes are, our digital processes are in place, is very, very powerful. And I really think there is a big trend in this direction. Having said that, I very well know also that it's often discussed, well, that a whole mining topic could be also the way to start with. Why should we do here the traditional as-is interviews to get the transparency over what we work today? Why not just do the mining right away? And I have to say there are situations where that works, especially when the as-is process is already well supported through IT systems, so that I have the information available. But in most of the cases, that does not really work, because many steps of the processes, people use spreadsheets, they use manual documents, and through that mining approach for the as-is capturing, you would lose a lot of information, which causes, of course, a major issue. And second, you would create the integration and the adapters to load the data in just for that as-is analysis, and then you basically throw them away, so that the time you and effort you gain is also not as big. So you invest and you don't get a real solid and a real good result out of it. That's why in most of the cases we use that mining approach for the value realization and the ongoing governance of our processes, but for the initial capturing of the processes, the more traditional way through interviews, which can nowadays be done here in remote interviews online, so very efficiently. But we saw now that process management can help in digital transformations, really from the first point of targeting values, setting the right priorities, through the standardization, the innovation, the automation of our processes, and then the value realization. And that's a good transition into our last topic, the sustainment of those improvements. And when we talk about sustaining those processes, there's one very important aspect. You see, in digital transformations, there is a very big trend that more and more of the technology itself moves outside the organization, moves into the cloud. What stays in our company are the business processes. So the real asset in the organization is not the technology itself, but the way we use that technology to really achieve a business value. So to make our business processes tangible and manageable, and to have a discipline around that, just as we have a discipline about the technology, IT, we need now also the discipline about our processes to really treat them as assets and make sure that we really don't miss anything and get best value of our cloud-based technologies. And in order to do that, it is required to have also a bit of a structure around that and to organize our process management discipline. And that's in one hand, of course, to have the right roles in place, the process sponsor, process owner, process steward, the center of excellence with transformation or PPM lead, or I like also to refer to them as the chief process officer. And there it's not enough just to identify those roles and have a brief role description, but it's important to have really the underlying processes. How do they really act? How do they govern processes? How do they interact with the rest of the business? And in most of the cases, those governance roles are part of the business, but spend their time mainly on looking across organizational boundaries. And the center of excellence, the core organization, basically helps to sees them as their clients and helps to prepare and execute the related transformation project, provides the standards, guidelines, and the necessary tools. And that such a governance organization works, we need, as we saw before, also a set of tools. So the PPM discipline itself also needs to be digital and digitalized in the right way. And a simple architecture of the tools that you need for an working process management discipline is shown here. And you need on one hand a way to set the top-down direction, and that happens through an appropriate process modeling and repository approach. And on the other hand, you need to know, well, do we really follow our processes? How well are we doing? So you need a bottom-up control, and that happens through a business process monitoring approach. And of course, we need then the execution environment on the top with an automation platform, and then there's all kind of digital tools integrated to that. And in order to keep on checking our priorities, it's also recommended to have some tools to identify the impact of our processes and how that changes, as well as the maturity of our processes compared to the industry. And I know there's often that discussion about, do we need modeling and mining, or do we only need one of both? But as I explained before, my very strong belief is that you need both. You need the modeling really to set your top-down direction and to understand and visualize processes that are not or very little automated. And you need your process mining to make the governance and the control of the digital processes much more efficient. So both areas complement each other. So both should be part of the system architecture supporting our process of process management. And to make sure that we can really seamlessly roll out that process management discipline, make it part of the way we work in our organization. We have seen it as very practical to have something in place that we like to refer to as a BPM playbook. That is related to our process of process management. That is, of course, defined in process repository, just as any other business process. But that BPM playbook is basically something like the standard operating procedures for your process of process management, defines the modeling description standards, but also describes how an improvement initiative is organized, describes the governance approach, and so that's your process management discipline really can be rolled out and applied across the organization. And with that, we are basically at the end of that short presentation. We have seen that processes realize at the end of the day the value of our digital transformation. In order to get best value out of your transformation, it's important to set the right priorities, and process management helps here through our process impact assessments. During the transformation, it is about standardizing, innovating, automating, and that needs to be value driven. So in the areas where we really get most out of it, and data-based. We want to know through appropriate simulation and quantitative techniques that we really go the right way. And once we went through the digital transformation, we need to make sure that we have an environment in place that provides the appropriate governance and basically keeps that process of process management up and running, and there, of course, the right enabling tools play a key role. And at the end of the day, you basically establish then a business process management as a management discipline that keeps your transformation and digitalization journey going. Thank you very much.